Let's switch gears and bring in our next guest here, Jeff Marek, host of the Jeff Marek Show, who broke the news yesterday that the PHF would be purchased by the Mark Walter Group and Billie Jean King Enterprises, which is a big move in the women's hockey space. There are a lot of positives, and there are some negatives that have come from that announcement so far. Jeff, can you just sort of explain where we are at with this news and sort of what's reverberating right now as it develops as we speak?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, and good morning. That's pretty big story yesterday. So Mark Walter Group and Billie Jean King Enterprises. So this is the group that's putting together the league that's going to feature athletes from the PWHPA, and now after this news will also feature athletes from the PHF as well. Yesterday they completed a purchase or announced the purchase internally, not externally. That'll come later on today. Of the Premier Hockey Federation. It's not all the assets that they're buying, but it's the majority of assets, as I understand, that they are buying. And the PHF league will essentially dissolve. Those players will become free agents. Many will be absorbed into the PWHPA. There'll be some type of draft, and that league will launch sometime next January. So that's the sort of top line to all of this. Essentially, it's a complicated story. If you want to sort of couch it in simpler terms, the group representing the PWHPA, the Professional Women's Hockey Players Association, that's a group that has all the elite level American and Canadian players. They've just bought the Premier Hockey Federation, their rival league.
Yeah, and obviously that I think that is the simplest way to explain it to everyone. I think the big question I have coming out of that is, and I want to be clear, they are saying it's not a merger, so I won't call it is not a merger. It is not. You are going to have two bodies of players who will now be playing in the same league. Are there enough teams to service those players? That I think is where I immediately go to on this.
Yeah.
That's why I'm trying to dance around the word merger, because it's not. But you understand where I'm going with this.
Yeah. So the league that the PW now the new league is going to be called the Professional Women's Hockey Association. So that new league is going to have 6 teams. It's going to be 3 teams in Canada, 3 teams in the United States. Those cities have still not yet been announced, and all we have is rumors about what those cities are going to be. But no, quite bluntly, there's not going to be room for everybody. Like, there are going to be some players who lose their jobs. There will be some players who don't have a place to play next year. And some of those players have already signed contracts with the PHF, and those contracts, I should have mentioned off the top, have all been dissolved. There's going to be more competition for those spots in this new league, and that's going to cost some players certainly their jobs. It's unfortunate. This is pro sports, and that's just the reality. Just to be blunt, that's just the reality of this situation. This is what members of the PWHPA have been holding out, fighting for, staying away from the PHF and the forerunner of the North American Hockey League for, and this is eventually here now, what they're going to get. We are expecting, by the way, some comment, some type of press release today from the PWHPA, and I think the Mark Walter Group as well. One main power broker that you guys should keep in mind through all of this, Stan Kasten. As someone told me yesterday, this is Stan Kasten's show now. Stan, who's with the Dodgers, has worked with the Atlanta Thrashers previously in the NHL, and I think we do wonder now that there is going to be one league. Will the NHL get involved in some capacity? The NHL has always talked about not wanting to pick sides or choose one group over the other. To get back to us when you have one group. Well, now there is. And I suppose it'll be up to Stan Kasten and Mark Walter here to put together any type of relationship, if there's going to be one, between this new league and the National Hockey League.
Last one for you, Jeff. Yes, you're right. It's professional sports. There's going to be lost jobs. There's going to be competition. But there is some negativity associated with this announcement. So I'll ask you pretty plainly, is this the move that will put women's hockey in the direction that it needs to go to?
Yeah, it is. I mean, there's not going to be any more, fighting between two groups. It's going to be one very focused and well-financed group. The numbers that I've heard thrown around for the startup for this thing, where once upon a time it was thought that it was going to be $50 million. The latest numbers that I'm hearing are $250 and $300 million.
Wow.
Just to start this thing up. So yeah, I mean, this is Mark Walter Group and Billie Jean King Enterprises, right? So these are very deep-pocketed owners, and we'll see if there's any type of involvement from the NHL as well. So I mean, I think that as much as there is, some unfortunate news about women losing their jobs here, from the top line perspective about getting women's hockey on the map with their own focused, professionally run league at the high level. This is what the PWHPA members have always fought for, and this is what they're getting now. And it's hard to look at this and not see this as a major, major positive step for women's hockey.
Yeah, it seemed the first step was always consolidation. Now that they are in the path or on the path to consolidating, it should be good things ahead. And we'll keep tracking this story. Of course, Ailish will have her thoughts on it. We'll catch up with you maybe next week. We'll continue on with this story as it develops, though, because it is clearly an important one.
I think we're going to be starting to get. Well, we'll get a little bit more information today. I think that once we get past July 4th and those celebrations stateside, I think we're going to start to see more information about when this thing starts to and how this thing is going to finally start to take shape. I was told to watch around the 6th or the 7th, so I have a feeling we're talking again. And probably soon.
All right, Marek, we look forward to it. Thanks for making a little bit of time for us. Make sure we touch on that subject.
Nice scoop.
No problem. Thanks, guys. Yeah, have a good day. Scoops. Ice cream, scoops.
There you go. That's Jeff Marek of The Jeff Marek Show.